Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Hooligan Report. We're back this week with a full panel after the one-on-one last week, but I've got Bojan back.
Hi guys.
I'm also joined by Cooksen,
Hello.
and we've also got Friar Tuck along.
Representing the dark blue member of the Big Four.
Well, exactly. I was going to say we've got winners are grinners this week. You both had both sets of teams have had pretty decent results. So let's talk through the Leicester game first of all, because I mean that was just an incredible comeback, and I think it pretty much captivated the whole big footy board who'd stayed up for it.
Certainly did. Our motto is Foxes never quit, and what better than that, eh?
Oh, mate, absolutely. I mean, at half time, I think we were all being a bit critical of Leicester's play. I think you're a bit open in defence and losing the ball a bit in midfield. But I think it was you changed formation around the 60-minute mark, or you moved Mahrez into the midfield, or central figure in the midfield. And that really changed the pattern of the play, really.
Well, that's correct. It started from subbing off Okazaki for Dyer, so we had a bit of extra pace. We shuffled things around, so Mahrez was already central at that point. Then the next step was to, well, unfortunately, get rid of the ones that weren't performing as much. Big one was Inler. He looked a little bit tired from the England games, and he was losing possession a fair bit. We needed a bit of extra pace. Got on Conte in that central midfield, and my God, was he great!
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be too critical of someone like Okazaki, I suppose, because he's travelled a lot of miles during the international break. So, I mean, that excuses it somewhat, and perhaps Inler as well. But those subs certainly did make a difference. And Mahrez, once again, he's had some sort of start to the season, hasn't he?
I think ever since April, actually, this has been going on for a fair while. He's been one of our central figures, well, for our huge run in form, and well, the good times keep rolling. But as noted, I believe the central role is actually more suitable for him, so he doesn't have to do as much defensive duties, which you may have noticed. The lad actually picked up his game once Mahrez was further up the field, and we had Dyer doing some defensive work down there.
Do you think Ranieri will stick with that going into future games? Mahrez in that central role?
I sincerely hope so, because I think our best football is 3-5-2, with Mahrez behind the two strikers, and we're playing the three centre backs. So I really hope Wazzle comes back and fills in that third spot. I mean, Delac can play that role, but I feel more confident with the three big boys at back. So we didn't actually concede much. We actually got to think about 5 clean sheets in that run, in that end of season run. So we'll be more sound once we get those three backs.
And I mean, yeah, you play 3-5-2, but you've also, I think, was it last season you were playing the 3-4-3? But I mean, that might have been a roughly similar formation. But I seem to remember you lining up 3-4-3 a bit and thinking that was a pretty aggressive formation. But obviously, it seemed to work out pretty well for you guys.
Yeah, that's what. Well, we have to play to our strengths, and that is full on pace and attack. And well, 11 goals so far this season. I did tell Jats that we have one of the best attacking lineups in the season. I think, honestly say would be it's a top half one. I mean, we weren't that far off. I think we were about 11th last season, and there were a few games we weren't scoring goals. So if we keep playing that sort of football, I think we will definitely be up there as an attacking force.
Bojan and Cooksen, did you guys catch the match?
I saw some of it. I mean,
after that Spurs Sunderland game, you really needed to reward yourself with a pretty entertaining follow up. If you went to bed after the Tottenham game, you would have been kicking yourself.
oh yeah, it was a pretty decent comeback. I mean, I only saw it from the second half. Leicester played very well.
That's the best bit, isn't it?
Cooksen, Bojan, do you know of another game that Leicester came back into?
I think it was the 1 year anniversary of that this week as well, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
What game? I don't recall any game.
Who's likely to finish higher on the table, United or Leicester?
That's a silly question.
Leicester, obviously. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have asked it.
Yeah, Leicester started off in good form. I mean, realistically, their goal now is to try and consolidate at least top 10 position.
I'm in agreement of that. I think the owners were aiming for top 10, and I think with our squad we can definitely do that. Not only have we got a good starting 11, but we have a really good we've got some really good depth as well, and I expect to see more of that in the cup game against West Ham. There's a lot of good quality there.
I think it's a fine line for Leicester at the moment, and I think Ranieri is probably walking on the cautious side of that. Where I think after the game he said something like, we've only got to get another 29 points for safety or something. He's 11 points gained, 29 to go or something. And I mean, I can understand that mentality of just sort of keeping everything in perspective and saying, first step is to secure safety and go from there. But at the same time, you don't want to sort of limit the squad in terms of the way they view the season and what sort of points target they should be going for. So I think it is a fine line at this stage. But you've got Stoke this weekend. If you knock that one off as well, then I think you can sort of start to well and truly forget about relegation.
Well, that makes a welcome change from last season. We were the strongest team last season, that's for sure, lifting all of your blokes up. So hopefully this time we'll have ourselves a good run. I don't think we'll see a repeat of that losing streak last season. But what Ranieri says is right. The first goal is to try and get that 40 as soon as possible because we have a really tough run during December and in April. So we want to try just ensure that we're a bit safe, and then once the pressure is off, just let loose and try to go for a high score, basically.
For sure. Your Red Devil counterparts in the top four now also had a pretty good win on the weekend, 3-1 against Liverpool, and a debut goal for Anthony Martial, who Bojan was in raptures about last week. So I've no doubt he's even more impressed this week. How'd you find his goal?
Oh, fantastic! It was as he drifted out to that left-hand side, and I watching it and seeing Sturtle, you're just thinking, just run at him and see what happens. And you can almost see him pick the ball up and look, and then he realizes it's Sturtle, and he's facing behind, and he just sprints at him.
Yeah.
And he's just got that close control.
Footwork, yeah.
The close control, shift feet, and the composed finish. And for a 19-year-old on debut, bloody good on him. Can't ask more than that. Strong against Paul.
I mean, brilliant debut goal. I mean, he got the ball from Young on the left, just looked up, ran, and made the Liverpool defenders shit themselves, which admittedly is not a very hard task. But it's just a brilliant goal, justified from... He keeps doing that. The 36 to however much million we're paying will be a bargain.
Which was the best...
450k.
What's that?
Mahrez was only 450k.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, I think there was a tweet or something after the match saying that whoever scouted Mahrez deserves a pay raise or something, because you can find some absolute bargains out there. Which do you reckon was the best goal of the match though? Martial's or Benteke's?
Benteke's was better, but when people complain about Martin Tyler's commentary, just remember Benteke's came out of nowhere and was a consolation goal. A good one.
They got them back in the match. It was only 2-1 after he scored, I suppose.
Yeah, but still, it just didn't... It just felt consolation-y. That's a word.
Yeah.
But Martial's was first goal for a 19-year-old after heavy scrutiny. Martin Tyler's not biased. He commentates for moments.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because if he was really biased, why would he shout Aguero?
If he's a United supporter, yeah. I mean, sorry, Bojan?
I actually enjoyed the other two goals from United. I thought
it was a beautifully taken penalty, wasn't it?
Wait. So the set piece was worked really well for Blindstrom, the way Schweinsteiger basically ran straight into Klein, so he couldn't intercept the crossfield pass, and a really composed finish from Blind. And the great thing for all Man United fans is Ander Herrera is our number one penalty taker now, so surely Van Gaal has to play him every week. He can't leave him on the bench. Straight up, he has to play Herrera. So that's why I was very happy with that goal.
First penalty ever taken at senior level 2, but on Blind's goal, you could see him free on side camera angle view on the replay. He was free. There's only Fellaini and one line of like 5 defenders. I mean, surely someone at Liverpool's like, we probably should mark this guy.
Do you think Lovren might have pointed it out and they all just trying to turn around to him and just said, shut the hell up?
Well, maybe, but probably the best player on that pitch, though. Speaking of bargains, let's talk about Bastian Schweinsteiger.
That's the football drop.
I mean, he's now beginning to get fitter, and he's just dominating, doing little deft passes. I mean, he's a football god. Football god, shall we say.
£6.5 million.
He's a oh god.
The other big result of the weekend was obviously Everton's win over Chelsea, and it's kind of going from bad to worse for Chelsea. I mean, we'll talk in a minute about their Champions League result, which was at least a step back in the right direction. But in terms of domestic form, they're really, really struggling, and I mean, they're barely outside the relegation zone after 5 games.
It's okay.
Great, isn't it?
It's okay. Relegation, not important. We can top ladder.
Well, it'll be really enjoyable at the end of the season when we switch places with them in the leagues. You know, we'll go up, they'll go down. Wave at them as we go past.
And it does follow a common theme, though. Mourinho's 3rd seasons is when everything goes to shit.
And Stephen Naismith with the hat-trick off the bench is pretty decent.
He's a funny one, you know, Naismith, because he always does well against United too. He doesn't look like much of a player, but he just seems to have these moments against the big sides. And he just tore Ivanovic a new one. He just murdered him. It was fantastic.
I was out at a pub with a whole bunch of mates watching this. There was an Everton mate and a Chelsea mate, and the Everton supporter basically said that if Naismith scored a hat-trick, this was before he'd come onto the pitch, he said, if Naismith scores a hat-trick, I'll buy you all pints. So by the end of the game, we were all pretty happy with the result, but perfect hat-trick as well, which is pretty impressive. But you'd expect he'll be starting the next few games at least. He's a good servant of that club.
He deserves to start at least next week. So, you think so? Yeah, I mean, all 3 goals were very well taken, and Everton obviously did their homework, and obviously saw the way that Palace attacked Chelsea and just did the same thing.
Matic scored a pretty decent consolation goal as well, but yeah, I guess there's not much else to say about Chelsea from that game. I think Fabregas had another incredibly poor game. I mean, I saw the stats, but you know, no tackles completed, no aerial duels won, no crosses, no assists, no shots, no anything really.
4 hands behind the back.
Yeah.
To be fair, like, Fabregas shouldn't really be making tackles and all that, but they look really concerning.
Well, he should be making crosses or shots at least. You would expect. I mean, if he's not going to be counted on for his defensive efforts, he needs to be doing something offensively.
Like, the thing is with Fabregas is you look at his career, he started out really strongly at Arsenal and he had the full kind of mullet there. Now with no hair, he's crap.
What is it? He's a Samson, is he?
He needs to speak with Wayne Rooney about getting a hair transplant.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like Tom Huddleston for us. As soon as he cut his hair, he's been absolutely gash. You know, grow the hair back. Yeah, get on it. The other, I guess, top of the table clash we had on the weekend was between Palace and Man City of all teams. But we were chatting a bit about it last week, Bojan, about the 2 stories of the season so far. I guess in mid-table clubs doing better than expected, and Man City sort of running away with it, and it almost lived up to both, with Palace almost getting a draw against Man City, but sure enough, they got a last-minute goal to set them on their way.
And they probably deserved the draw, you know. I mean, City, in hindsight, those are the kind of games that win you championships. So we're just quite, obviously, hard to to say, but Palace can definitely feel pretty stiff from coming away from there without a draw at least. But did you see the firepower they've got at City? Jesus, bringing De Bruyne off the bench. Do you think he's gonna put up with that for long? Going from the star man at Wolfsburg, I mean, maybe it's all agreed and it's a transitioning phase.
Yeah, I assume it'd be phasing him in.
But this guy's like, debatably the best. Well, behind Aguero, might be
I
the
mean,
best player on their side.
That's the thing. The thing about City though is that they have a massive reliance on Aguero and Silva.
Oh,
Who both essentially missed that game. I mean, Aguero missed. He played the first 20 minutes or 30 minutes and
I mean,
went off, and Silva missed the whole game.
despite spending what $1 billion or so, they really are a two-man team.
we can't talk too much about that, mate.
I know, but still.
It's been pretty alright, hasn't it?
What was that, sorry?
The defense line's been pretty good though, keeping it clean.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't conceded a goal yet.
Is it Fernandinho? He's playing quite well.
Yeah, he's been playing quite well, and he's scored a couple of goals of his own. And Company's, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, during pre-season, Company looked well and truly cooked, and he's come back in and slotted in seamlessly, really.
You talked to Gary Ablett. Gary Ablett implied magic.
Yeah. Friar Tuck, did you watch any of the midnight games?
I saw a bit of Palace City. Well, more towards the end. I thought Palace was really unlucky with that. But football's a game of 90 minutes and a little bit extra. And unfortunately, it did feel a bit like us. You did everything right, but just not enough to take home the points, unfortunately. But Crystal Palace should keep their head up. They're doing pretty well, and I expect their run to continue. For the other games, I honestly really didn't get a chance to see aside from a few highlights. I have been keeping some tabs on Stoke, and I have to admit, if your best keeper is if your best player is Jack Butland, and in a 2-0 losing effort, your team, well, you're in all sorts of trouble. That team has not gelled at all.
It's amazing, really. You'd think the players that they've brought in, the caliber that they've brought in, they should be basically replicating Palace's sort of start, but they've really struggled.
I mean,
But it's not FIFA.
Yeah.
You can't just plug all these different kinds of players in.
Well, I mean, they
I
seem
mean,
to be going after the same sort of player. I mean, like, I think we're talking pre-season, they're bringing in a lot of Barcelona and Real Madrid youth prospects, so they should theoretically be playing a similar sort of style.
And who's their coach?
Yeah, well, he had a pretty decent season last year.
What are
But
they doing to
it's-
Guardiola?
Yeah.
He'll be looking for work soon enough. Jurgen Klopp, maybe?
Yeah. But Stoke, they started that game as bad as any other team. Like, Arsenal should have been... They could have won this game by 10 goals. And that's being legit. They could have scored 5 in the first 20 minutes alone if Walcott can actually finish. But he's a donkey, so he can't. I mean, but again, it does still lack Arsenal's great problems, which is A, no world-class forward, and B, their midfield's still a bit flaky at the back.
It'll be interesting to see how Arsenal go, and obviously, actually, we might move on now. Then it seems a decent enough time as any to chat about the Champions League results of the last 2 mornings. And Arsenal suffered another loss in the Champions League to Dinamo Zagreb. So I think there was a comment made that I think Wenger's now clocked up 50 Champions League losses. Which,
Actually, 3.
what was it? Sorry?
He's actually conceded 53 because
53.
his 88-89 season with Monaco does not count for some weird reason.
Oh, okay. Oh, maybe is it 50 losses with Arsenal?
Yeah, I think it's for a single
With
club.
Monaco and Arsenal. He's lost 46 with Arsenal.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a strange one then. How have we seen the English clubs start to the Champions League?
Oh.
A bit crap. Well, United, we played perfectly, actually. We played pretty well. It's just we didn't score. Everything was fine, but we just didn't take our chances. as well as on top of Luke Shaw's leg being broken in 2 places, which was a bit shit. I mean, that just killed the team. I mean, as soon as that happened, I'm like, yeah, we're going to lose this.
So he's. I think they were saying he's out for 9 months. Was announced today.
It's 6 months. 6 months to back to training, plus another 3 weeks of getting fit. So we're looking at late April.
Which is pretty disappointing for the kid because he's had a pretty good start to the season.
Yeah, flying, absolutely flying. So like, it's really pretty. Like he had a tough kind of first year, and he got at the club after obviously the big move, huge price tag, and he's really been flying, doing incredibly well. And yeah, to have this happen to him, well, he's only just turned 20 or something.
Yeah.
You just hope that he can come back from it. Some blokes do come back, and it really doesn't have too much of a long-term effect on their careers. Some guys don't. Some guys, it can be a huge mental obstacle to overcome for them, and they never quite hit that, I guess, their full potential. But hopefully he can.
Man City losing as well was about as predictable as sun setting. Even though they went up 1-0 through a company goal, which probably shouldn't have stood, Juventus got over them in the end.
Company was all over Chiellini. How the bloody hell did they not give that as a free kick?
It's an interesting one.
And then they gave.
They've got to give the City fans a little bit of hope before they crush it. A
little bit of hope.
They've not adapted well to Europe. I mean, mentally as the whole club, they're just not European giants. They're just not a Champions League.
It's just such a bizarre one because they can go from not conceding a single goal through the first 5 games of the Premier League season, sitting on top of the table, full of confidence. You'd think. Yes, Juve are a brilliant side, but at home, 1-0 up, you'd think that they'd be able to close it out to some extent.
Let's not forget that Juve hasn't exactly been in good form either. I think they've only gathered about 4 points or something so far. So they weren't in hot form. So this really should have gone to City's way, but wow, really, it just hasn't clicked.
It's not that same Juve side as last year. Don't forget, there's no Tevez, there's no Vidal. A couple of others have gone from that side too. That defense is another year older as well. But they just switched off. You can't give blokes like Paul Pogba that much room. And then they gave him room for that cross into Mandzukic. Mandzukic is between the two centre halves, and neither of them tracked him down at all. And then there was just far too much space for that. Well, that was a beautiful finish.
There's just something completely wrong with how English teams are now going into Europe.
You would expect, at the rate they're going, that one of the Champions League spots will be gone by the end of the season.
Arsenal will still get into the last 16 and then lose to a German team. That's a given. City will expect to get into the last 16. United probably will after a shaky start. Chelsea will probably go deep because this is what Jose do. It's just my theory is that because the Premier League is now getting that much money, which means the lower clubs are getting more players in, better quality players, means you can't really rest key players on the Premier League for a European match day now.
So let me ask you a question, Cookie. Do you think Arsenal went in this morning to win that game, or to rotate the squad to ensure that they'd be better prepared for this weekend's game against Chelsea?
I reckon they rotated it. That was usually you'd expect Arsenal to go in, win the game 2-0, then just get 2 early goals and ease it through. But they just didn't really give a shit.
No, they didn't.
And then, ironically, of the 4 English sides, Chelsea were the ones to get the win.
I mean, it is probably highlighting how much money the Premier League's getting. I mean, next year when the new deal starts, who's going to earn more money, the 20th ranked side or Barcelona?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, hey, whoa, 20th place side? Oh, come on,
Oh,
we'll be 5th, 4th, maybe? I don't know.
dude.
Yeah, well. Probably the other comment to make about the Champions League games was the stunning equaliser from Roma against Barcelona. I don't think you'll see a better goal this season
Fantastic.
than that one.
Liverpool fans will disagree.
Well, of course they'll disagree with anything, really.
The sky's blue. Oh no, it's not, lad. It's a net.
Oh dear. So we'll move on then and preview the next set of games because we do start with a cracker that we've just alluded to in Chelsea up against Arsenal, and Mourinho does have a pretty outstanding record against Wenger, but do we reckon this might be the time that Wenger will finally get one over him?
And if he does get over him, who board the pressure Jose by then? Jeez.
What was that? Sorry, the board.
If Jose does lose, I can't imagine the pressure. I mean, it's going to be immense.
Well, I mean, if Stoke beat you guys, or else, if Stoke, Sunderland, or Newcastle get a win, really, and Newcastle's playing Watford, and Sunderland's playing Bournemouth, well, geez, they could both get wins there, and Chelsea could suddenly be in 19th place. So there's a huge amount of pressure on Mourinho getting some sort of result in this game, and even if he doesn't get a win, I think he'd still be in 19th. A draw might not be good enough.
If he plays Ivanovic,
Yeah.
I'm serious. They'll get slaughtered.
Yeah, no,
Because
I'm with you.
Sanchez and Ozil, whatever people say about Ozil, he'll just treat Ivanovic like an absolute statue. So they will destroy him if he plays him. He's got to play this Rahman kid. Baba.
Did Rahman start in the Champions League game?
He did.
Yeah.
And you know who else started?
Who?
Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
And what was their result?
4-0, and that's including a Hazard penalty. That bloke,
Which he missed. Yeah.
yeah. Did you see? It was like
I saw the
Chris
Faith
Waddle,
cartoon
Stuart
recreation.
Pearce,
Yeah.
all over again.
Yeah.
Like it was, yeah.
He was playing rugby.
His head's all over the place at the moment.
I've heard now. This is from an unusual source, but I've heard that he's had a massive falling out with Mourinho and that he asked to leave at the end of last season. Don't know if it's true. Unusual source.
The way he started this season, I mean, you could put some sort of credence in that, but he's certainly struggled.
He doesn't like the lack of flexibility with Jose's tactics, and he wants to play number 10, not on the left wing.
But you hear that with so many of the big clubs now. I mean, there's been rumours at United as well with Rooney and was it Carrick going to Van Gaal about his tactics as well. I think in this age of where everything is so precise and training methods and tactics are so precise that the players are getting pretty frustrated with the lack of freedom. And you just look at a side like Leicester, for instance, when they put Mahrez in the middle, centre of the park and basically let him go for it. And he sets up 2 goals, one of them being the winning goal of the match. You need to allow some sort of creativity in the side to really let those sorts of players flourish.
It's pretty much the only 2 players in the world who have absolute freedom are Messi and Ronaldo. And again, I do think, didn't Hazard come out a few weeks ago saying, I couldn't score as much as Messi and Ronaldo due to, my mental thinking?
And the fact he can't shoot from outside the box.
That too, but I reckon there's probably some belief in that rumour because Hazard doesn't seem like... He seemed like a player who would really enjoy football 10 years ago where he could just be a number 10 and just knock himself out, have fun, no worries.
That's very true. He doesn't seem to be enjoying it so much. Which has got to be important to some.
You would think. Who would you reckon Abramovich would be more keen to keep at the club, Hazard or Mourinho?
I think wouldn't you say Hazard's like the jewel in the crown there?
Oh yeah, I know. I'd agree. I mean, it just depends how strong his relationship is with Mourinho at the moment after
Well,
delivering them the Premier League.
right now, you'd have to say, well, I'd say that he's probably would rather ditch Mourinho. If Chelsea were top undefeated, you'd say, well, Hazard really needs to
Pull his finger out.
pull,
Yeah.
pull into line and sort things out, or he'll be gone. But the way they're going,
But you could say the
who
way
knows
they're
with
going is the way they're going could be more down to the players not agreeing with Mourinho rather than anything Mourinho himself is doing wrong. If you get my meaning, I mean, if you cut someone like Hazard loose because he won't fall into line, then maybe the team and you get rid of Ivanovic as well, and maybe the side will start performing better. But I agree. I mean, I reckon Mourinho is probably the one who's more easy to replace, so to speak, because I mean it's a lot easier to get a high caliber manager into a club like Chelsea than to replace someone like Hazard.
I mean,
they're used to
Mourinho,
caretaker managers.
and Mourinho has been he's been mopey ever since he got denied the United job, which he won't say it, but that really did cut deep with him.
And look, guys, I mean, I suppose if Abramovich is in the mood of replacing Chelsea managers with former Chelsea managers, there is another one sitting around in the Premier League doing all right that he could bring in until the end of the season.
Hands
Full
off.
circle. Full circle.
No, he's not coming back.
He can always get Rafa again. That was a lovely relationship then.
Yeah, well, he'll be gone from Madrid soon enough.
He'll be going to Liverpool.
Imagine that payout.
Oh,
Paid it out
jeez.
in his first season at Madrid and then rocks up at Chelsea.
Yeah.
On huge contest.
I'll sack the man with great
He
character.
knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing, Rafa. Just going along,
Waiting those
living off-
tables.
waiting those tables, living off this reputation he forged at Liverpool about being able to do quite well on a short purse string, which is a complete fabrication. And he just goes into these clubs and destroys them and gets paid out, and then it's just on to the next one.
Repeat the process, yeah.
I'm a good
Like
manager. That's your
Inter
fuck.
and Napoli both just one had just won the treble and was just absolutely cooked by the time he got kicked out. Napoli had such potential and had done strike force, ruined that. Who's next? Real Madrid. Well, I actually don't mind Madrid so much. I don't really particularly like Perez. Don't particularly like Top Club either. But
There's just something about Madrid I just don't like. I mean,
arrogance.
I think it's the arrogance. I mean, Ronaldo, and I mean, I don't mind Bale, so he's sort of swinging that a little bit. But Ronaldo being the face of the club, I suppose, and just the way they go about their business, just doesn't rub me the right way, I guess.
I think your fans have got something to do with it. Just turning on players just for one minor game, and yeah, that's not a good look. As fans, you want to get behind the players, but Madrid fans, you either perform or you're going to get called. You're going to get called names. You're going to get. What happened? I think something happened to Bale's car last season. Was it?
Did it get keyed or something?
I think something like that.
Yeah, something happened. Yeah.
You're a club legend. You'll be forced out of the club, crying. Your current goalkeeper will be forced out of the club.
Well,
Your
we didn't
future goalkeeper.
we didn't touch on this last week, Bojan. So we've got an opportunity now, I suppose, to quickly go back over the De Gea transfer or lack thereof.
Before you do, just remember the current goalkeeper has got, I think, 4 clean sheets, and that's Madrid's best for a very long time. So I don't think Real regret that decision at all.
Well, that's just Benitez's good management because he doesn't concede more than 2 goals in a game all season. I think that was that stat. Moving quickly from that though, let's go back over the De Gea transfer. Yeah.
Oh, it's
Okay.
fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And if you were told any United fan at the start of the window, and you can go back through all the posts saying that they're absolutely crazy, that at the end of the window, De Gea would stay and then sign a 4-year deal with an option of a 5th year, they would have laughed in your face and said lost your mind.
Yeah, Madrid tried getting him for free by stuffing up the transfers, and then they came out with a false lot of, oh, this is what we did, blah blah blah. Then United said, no, you're wrong.
I think it says it all when Real's the one that is saying that they're not going to appeal. You can come out with all the bluster you want, but if you then say you're not going to appeal it, it kind of gives the game away, I think.
Yep. And that means De Gea's pissed at Madrid, which means they'll be forking out quite a lot of money. Talking about, I'm thinking £50 million, maybe.
Well, I was going to ask, does his new contract have a buyout clause in it?
Word is it doesn't.
Okay. That's a bit interesting, actually. I thought it would have been one of the conditions he'd have put on signing a new deal.
There might be a gentleman's agreement in there,
Okay.
but that kind of stuff, it rarely actually gets out in countries where you don't have to publish it. And a good example of that would be this whole Suarez 40 million stuff, which his agent supposedly told Arsenal that was the buyout when it turns out he didn't have one. So,
40
yeah, I'm
million
not
and £1.
40 million and £1. But to be honest, even if Real offered 50 million in January or next summer, my preference would be to keep him, because finding keepers of that quality is incredibly difficult. I mean, he's the second best keeper in the world. I don't care what price it is, really. I'd rather just keep him. De Gea.
Fair enough. We'll run quickly through the 10 games then, and we'll get a score prediction from each of you. So we'll start with Chelsea and Arsenal.
1-0 Arsenal.
I'd say
3-0.
3-0 Arsenal.
I'll say
3-0 Arsenal.
Okay. And for attack?
and I'll say
Sorry.
I'll say 2-0.
2-0 Arsenal. Jeez. I might go
I'm
1.
never right with these predictions, by the way.
What's that, sorry?
Just putting it
You're
out
never,
there.
you're never
I
right
said
with
I'm
them.
never right with these predictions.
Wow, it just means it'll be 4-0 Arsenal, doesn't it? No, I might go... It really does depend on that Chelsea lineup, doesn't it? Whether Ivanovic starts. I might go 2-0 Arsenal as well, just to really set the cat amongst the pigeons. If they lost the third game at Stamford... would it be the third loss at Stamford Bridge of the season?
Oh, shit.
I think. Yeah. So
Mourinho go 2 seasons consecutively without a home loss.
I think the loss to Sunderland 2 seasons ago at home was their first loss at Stamford Bridge under Mourinho.
That was correct, yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be pretty interesting if Arsenal win this one. We've got a Midlands derby next up between Aston Villa and West Brom. How do you guys see this one going?
I think we're going to see a lot of cards.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling this is a really heated derby. They're not each other's first preference for a rival, but when these two get together, it's going to be quite messy. I expect to see some action for this one. I'm a little surprised not many people have had any interest in this one, but then again,
I guess it's both sides are tracking pretty ordinarily, so there might not be an expectation of many goals in it, but at least one red card would make it interesting. Maybe 2-1 to West Brom, I'm feeling.
I'm feeling Aston Villa will probably win 1-0. Tactics team to put them over the line.
2-1 Villa. I like Adbon Lahore, and I like that new striker they got from Blackburn.
Yeah.
It's very Route 1, but it's a kind of, in these kind of in these derbies between two clubs that can't play football, he's going to be pretty important.
And I'm going to say 1-1 for this one.
Alrighty. Next up, it's Bournemouth against Sunderland, and I think I'm rooting for a Sunderland win just to edge Chelsea closer to that relegation zone.
Well, it won't really matter when Arsenal win 3-0, because they'll be down there on points difference anyway. But I'll go for Bournemouth because Sunderland can piss off down the Championship for all I care.
Both sides would really want to win because I think Sunderland doesn't have a win yet, and Bournemouth, I mean, they got that win against West Ham, but and that draw against Leicester, but they'd want to start picking up a few more points because they've had a bit of a slow start despite some pretty favourable fixtures.
I think our game against them really gutted them. They lost both Mings and Gradl. Gradl was one of their most creative players, and I think that's really done. I think that's really done them. I don't think they'll. Well, I think they've got a bit of a bad run for at least a few games. I think they'll really be after the January window here. So I'm predicting Sunderland will win 1-0.
Cookie?
I'm probably going to go Bournemouth to win 2-0 because, again, Sunderland, they serve no purpose in this league. They can be pissed off.
And then next up is Newcastle against Watford. So we've got both Tyne-Weir sides playing promoted clubs. They're both struggling for goals at the moment, really. So this probably has 0-0 written all over it.
I agree with that notion. 0-0.
Yeah.
Is Mitrovic back, or is he still suspended?
I'm not sure. He might be back. I think it might have only been a one-game ban because it was the second yellow, I think, not a straight red.
No, it was a straight red against Arsenal, wasn't it?
Was it? I thought. Oh, maybe it was actually. I thought it might have been a second yellow. So he might not be back yet.
No, it's straight
Might
red.
be back. Yeah, I want Watford to win. So I'll pick Newcastle 1-0 and I'll reverse jinx the hell out of them.
You would expect Newcastle to win. I mean, this should have more quality than Watford, but again, it's Newcastle, so Watford 1-0.
And then the big one, Leicester against Stoke. Can Leicester continue their winning start to the season, undefeated still, challenging Man City for top spot?
Well, because Man City lost, I think I don't want to. I'm actually going to shut up. I don't want to jinx it, but honestly, Stoke. I think this is going to be a really gritty battle. I'm a little worried if they bring Crouch to start because we don't exactly do well in the height department. I'm expecting Ujoa to start the game. In fact, I probably would say the team that got us over the line. Again,
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Yeah, I would think that's what we're going to start, but at the same time, I feel like Inler is going to be a really deciding factor, sir. But Conte's been really great, so has Drinkwater. It's going to be really tough to see who's going to be in that midfield. But as I said, if Crouch starts, I don't think we're going to keep a clean sheet for this one.
I mean, I think there'll be a lot to see from your lineup in terms of how your mentality is going away from home. Whether, like you say, whether you start with that lineup that you finished the game against Villa with and sort of go for scoring more goals than you concede sort of tactics, or whether you go a bit more cautiously and look to sort of smash and grab it.
I think we're going to see similar tactics to what we saw against West Ham. I expect us to have a really good period of dominance. I think we're going to get about 2-3 goals in the space of about 20 minutes in the first half. Then Stokes are going to come back and they're going to try break us down. I can see this game finishing, I'm going to say 3-1 in our favour. They're going to be coming back real strong, but I have faith in the defence. Expect to see some magic from Ranieri for the subs.
You'd expect Leicester to win as Stoke are just not a good football team, so 2-0.
Oh, God. Sure.
Bojan?
2-0 Stoke, Shaqiri and Crouch. Time to see Shaqiri step up.
I might go 2-1 to Leicester. I think, maybe Crouch will score for them. And Leicester will manage a couple of goals, hopefully through Mahrez. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Then we've got Everton up against Swansea, and now Swansea lost last time out to Watford in a pretty surprising reverse. I mean, Swansea had started the season pretty well, and Ayew and Gomez are in pretty decent form, and Watford managed to keep a clean sheet against them. So
actually done pretty well defensively. If there's one thing they've done well, that's just keep it really tight at the back. And well, considering their strike force, if you looked at Watford, you'd actually be surprised that it's their defence they're standing up
Yeah.
rather than the infamous Deeney.
I
So
would have thought Daney would be having a similar season to Austin last season, but he hasn't quite managed it.
I think Everton have really stepped up since I gave them a bit of a roast in that first video, but in that first episode, they have got some. They still have four more difficult games after that, including United, Liverpool, and Arsenal to follow this game, and I think two of those are away games as well. So
Yeah, Liverpool and Arsenal should be pretty tough.
Yeah, I think they really want to get some points against Swansea here, and honestly, I think they can. I think they'll take it 2-1.
I'm probably gonna go. It's a 1-1 draw, I would say. I mean, both sides are good, but again, both sides can be defensively flaky at times. So again, 1-1 draw.
3-0 Everton, Stephen Naismith, back-to-back hat-tricks.
Jeez. I'll say 3-1 to Swansea. I reckon they'll get back to winning ways at home. They've been pretty solid there. Man City up against West Ham. City with the loss midweek to Juve. West Ham, can they finally not get a red card? They seem to manage that every second week at this stage.
I think this one might actually be closer than. I think this might be Man City's toughest challenge yet. To be honest, West Ham seem to pick up against the bigger teams for some weird reason. They drop it against what seems to be the easy ones, but they pick up. I can actually see them being the first ones to get that elusive goal against City. But the question is that going to be enough? Man City might be a little tight. I think. No, it was a home game, but I think there might be a little bit of fatigue in the legs. It's going to be a close one. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be 2-1 Man City.
Yeah, I probably feel the same. I mean, Man City they're probably the best side in the league, so you'd expect them to beat West Ham 2-0.
West Ham to have a player sent off, and then City to run right and win 4-0.
Jeez. Yeah, I'll probably go City 3-1. I reckon I could see a West Ham goal. They might score one early to sort of scare City a bit, and I think Toure and Aguero might settle the ship a bit. The next game is a London derby with Spurs coming up against Crystal Palace, and this one's actually quite an interesting one because I'd almost put Palace as favourites in that one.
Oh, jeez, that's a really big call at White Hart Lane as well.
Well, I mean, have you seen the way Spurs have started the season? I mean, they barely got over the line against Sunderland, and I think that was their first win of the season. Whereas Palace, I mean, they went to Stamford Bridge and got the win. So I don't think White Hart Lane's any more intimidating.
Well, true, but I think they'd be a little more confident if this was in Croydon than North London, to be honest. I can't see, as I said, that they think this is the one Kane's going to get it. I honestly can't see. Crystal Palace will try to keep it tight. I think Tottenham will scrape away with a draw. I mean, as you said, Tottenham haven't looked flash. Palace have looked pretty good, but I think there's some sort of fierce determination from Tottenham to try prove a point, and they will get the point here. I'd say 1-1.
I'd probably say Palace 1-0.
0-0. Anyone that plays them just complete shit part.
I'll say 2-1 to Palace with Sacco scoring a late winner because he's looked pretty impressive for them so far. And then we've got the Liverpool-Norwich game, and I tell you what, Norwich would be very, very happy to see Luis Suarez lining up in Barcelona colours. Means that they're a little bit more of a chance of getting something out of these games. No hat-trick menace lurking. Liverpool at home should get the result, you'd expect.
I'm actually going to disagree with this one, to be honest. I know that's a really big call, but
No, it's fine. I can't say it. I can't say it, but you can say it.
I think Norwich has got a lot more fight than what most people gave him for. Even without the big transfers, they're still getting the results there. Liverpool look all sorts of shaky, and they're coming off a Europa game as well, I believe. So
Yeah, that's true.
as I said, I'm not entirely convinced of their strike force and their defense, obviously, but I think Norwich can do it 2-1.
Just when we start doing our pretend Scouse accents. But Liverpool look complete rubbish, but they're getting Coutinho back, and if Rodgers plays a lineup that is good and not full of good characters, they
It's a
should
big
win.
if. It's a big if.
Big if. Nobody will win at this game. Football will be the loser. 0 or draw. Don't bother watching it. Watch the game. That'll be on another channel.
That's a bit harsh on Norwich, isn't it? What did they do?
Well, it's more the fact that Liverpool's that shit.
They're
It's
just
dragging them into it.
That they're going to drag them down to their level and beat them in experience. I'm going to earn a lot of hate from the Liverpool boys, I'll tell you that, right?
Yeah, I mean, the anti-Liverpool sentiment on here was predictably going to come from Bojan and Cookie, but prior to Tuck, I wasn't expecting it from your quarters.
Clear. I don't hate Liverpool. I don't mind them. I just feel that Norwich feels a lot more energetic, and they've got something good going on there. Liverpool haven't exactly had the best couple of games recently, and they're going to be a bit tired. And look, I'm sure they'll pick up. But I don't think now's the time.
Bojan?
Norwich 1-0. Dejan Lovren own goal.
Look, I actually reckon... Yeah.
Rodgers to get the arse. And did you hear the rumour today that FSG are looking to sell?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I heard the rumor that they were actually that Rodgers got called into a meeting in, was it Boston, over an international break.
All right.
Ominous.
So, Jurgen Klopp, if you are listening, don't
Of course
go
he's listening.
there.
Of course he's listening.
Look,
I actually
hold out for the Chelsea job next week.
I actually reckon this is the sort of game Benteke might take by the scruff of his neck, of the neck, and I'm tipping a Benteke hat-trick and Liverpool to win 4-0. So
Suarez does have a successor.
yeah, well he might well have one, and obviously the final game of the weekend isn't probably worth talking about, so we might leave it there. It's Southampton up against United. So what do you guys reckon on that one?
These games, I don't particularly like it when we play Southampton, but I will. Oh Jesus! Now we got no sure. I'll hope for a 2-1 win.
I'll hope for a few things. Number one, Rojo is played at centre. Is played at left back instead of Blind. Keep the Mike and Blind partnership together. And hopefully Schneiderlin will start. And yeah, hopefully we can win 2-0 or 1-0. Just scrappy, get a goal and defend and keep possession for 90 minutes. It's all about the philosophy.
And the football drop.
You guys are not going to allow me to say anything negative about United, are you?
No.
Go for it. Go for it. It's not their podcast. It's mine. Go for it.
Oh, gee. Well, to be honest, I think United have looked all right. They've done what they've needed to do, just get those points and just keep ticking along. So far, 10 points in third, looking pretty good. But I don't know. Southampton look. I don't know if it's me, but I mean, you've obviously been doing a good job taking their players and all that. But this Southampton doesn't feel like the same. It doesn't feel like the same side from the last 2 years.
There's something that they've lost, I think. You get to that point where you've lost so many players that there is going to be that
It's-
inevitable drop-off to some
It's
extent.
simple. We took the good players, some of the guns.
Liverpool
Liverpool
took the
bought
crap on,
everyone
yeah.
else.
It will be interesting to see how
Smart one.
Southampton and Liverpool back up from Europa. That'll be an interesting element. So I actually think that'll...
Out. Southampton are out, I believe.
Oh, yeah, of course. So why are they the Sunday game?
Because of the League Cup games on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's an interesting one. Okay, I saw Spurs, Liverpool, and Southampton, and immediately thought Europa, but no, you're right. They got knocked out. So, I'll probably go United 2-1. They've got that extra bit of strength, and I think Pele will probably score for Southampton.
I didn't know Pele played for Southampton.
Well, Pele. The pronunciation's always very precise, isn't it?
I'm sure certain fans would love Pele. How they do it. I'm gonna say 1-0 United. They're gonna scrape through again. Keep it up. Keep. Why change a good thing? Just keep it ticking along.
Yeah. Anyway, any closing thoughts, boys?
I just hope this is for I think for everyone, because we've got in a lot of games coming in now, so we might be seeing some tired legs as we get to the international break. Leicester have got 3 games, 4 games from now until the end. I think United has an extra one. You guys got a Champions League game just before your last game, I believe. So it's all about good man management here. Just try to find the right lineups to get the job done, I suppose. So hopefully, we've got Ranieri, we've got some good depth. So hopefully we keep this good run going, and hopefully United can do the same, eh?
Champions League, eh? Remember what that was like last year, Liverpool fans? Yeah, that's right.
Oh dear. And meanwhile for Hull, we got a win this morning actually. Was it this? No, it was yesterday morning. I've lost track of my days. Which was a pretty good win over Cardiff, but lost on the weekend to Brighton, so it was a bit of a mixed bag for us. But trucking along relatively okay. So let's see how the next couple of weeks progress.
I think you want, this early on with the championship, you want to try to keep this form going as much as possible, because you'll find that the top 1 or 2 are going to break away really quickly.
Yeah. Well, Brighton's already doing that to an extent. So losing to them was probably a pretty big hit. Out of the 2 games, I'd probably have swapped and taken the win over Brighton and the loss over Cardiff to keep them in that pack, as you're saying.
5 points ahead of Middlesbrough and Burnley.
Yeah, Burnley tracking along pretty well as well. Our form's been a bit mixed, but if Mo Diarmi got a goal and an assist yesterday morning, so if he can step back up, like I was chatting in the last podcast with Bojan, that would be very good signs indeed. And Hernandez now has 3 and 5, so seems to have found his goal-scoring boots as well. So hopefully positive signs for the rest of the season.
Well, that's what you want. That's what you want to see, especially as a promotion contender. So keep at it.
Thanks very much. Well, thanks very much, boys, for coming on tonight.
No worries.
Yep.
Thanks,
for
mate.
having us.
And thanks to everyone for listening in. Hopefully your team wins this weekend. And until next time, we'll see you on the forums.